Good evening, everyone. I'm Cliston DeCosta from Geo Institute, and I bring you yet another informative and insightful masterclass. So, what's our topic for today? Today, our topic is the impact of technology on digital media and marketing. And this talk, what's it going to be about? I'll just tell you in a few seconds. So, this talk is about the media, especially user generated content or UGC, which is known to have a significant impact on the marketing performance of firms. Emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence is transforming the digital media radically. I'm sure we've been hearing a lot about this of late. In this talk, we will be briefly discussing the past, present, and future of digital media, especially UGC and its changing role in the marketing activities of the firm. We then examine the challenges faced by marketers in managing the media due to some of the technological advances. To have this masterclass today, I have Dr. Seshadri Trinule. So since Dr. Seshadri is very much with us here in India, but he comes to us as an associate professor of the Marvin Hurley Professor of Marketing and Entrepreneurship, and he comes from C.T. Bauer College of Business, which is in Texas, United States. Seshadri has a PhD in Business Administration and Marketing from the University of Southern California. He was the MSI Scholar in 2002. His past honors include the Odell Award 2019 for the Journal of Marketing Research article published in the last 5 years that has made the most significant long-term contribution to marketing theory, methodology, and/or practice. Lehman Award 2015 for best paper based on dissertation in the Journal of Marketing Research, John A. Howard/AMA Doctoral Dissertation Award 2012, and best paper based on doctoral dissertation at the European Marketing Conference in 2009. He was awarded with the Best Reviewer Award by the International Journal of Research and Marketing and Journal of Interactive Marketing. He was a finalist for Best Dissertation Award 2004 in Marketing Science and has an honorable mention in Shankar Spiegel Award 2008, instituted by Marketing Edge, formerly Direct Marketing Educators Foundation. Dr. Seshadri's research interests are in social media, which is user-generated content, advertising, marketing strategy, and sales. Over to you, Dr. Seshadri, and I must say that's quite an impressive portfolio you have there. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I'm just confirming that you're able to see the screen.
Yes, sir. It's on.
Great. Thank you, Cliston, for the wonderful introduction. And thanks to all the team at Geo Institute for getting this talk together. And also thanks to all of you, audience, who are registered for this talk and being interested in this topic. So as Cliston mentioned, I'm a faculty at the Bauer College of Business, University of Houston. Generally, I teach courses in digital marketing and analytics. Broadly, the research interests are around technology, marketing, sales, and these are the main areas of research that I undertake. Today, what I want to do is I'll be walking you through the summary of recent research undertaken by many research scholars that examines some of the impact of technology on digital media as well as marketing. And I'm borrowing some of the insights by distilling lots of academic research in this domain. And it's no specific order that I'm going in this. And also, I have a disclaimer that as I'm expressing my views and opinions, all the views expressed in this talks, it'll be usually mine and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoint of either University of Houston, nor does it reflect the viewpoint of Geo Institute. Also, the intellectual properties of the images, the logos, the devices that I'm used for presenting here, it's belong to the respective owners, and I'm only using them as an illustration for educational concepts that's there. With that being said, let's jump into the topic. So here, if I'm looking at it, the current media landscape is vast. From the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep, we are constantly interacting with one form of media or other. It could be in the form of offline mass media, such as TV, print, radio, or it could be in the form of online media, say the OTT platform, the streaming platforms, podcasts, also ebooks, the magazines, and various apps on the phones or tablets or the laptops we have. Over the last few years, there's been a variety of new digital touchpoints that are popular, especially after 2009 or 2010. Most of these media and innovation are popularly referred to and loosely clubbed as social media, or it formally in academic terms, it's called the user-generated content, because the content is generated by the users, the consumers. Every one of us, we generate it. So it's called the user-generated content. And all these are driven by sophisticated technology and platforms. So it's around this that I want to talk. And how is it related to marketing? Now, if you're taking marketing, just a minute. If I'm taking marketing as such, if we take the perspective of the firm, the communication between the firm and the consumers can be broadly divided into three. One is called what is called as the outbound marketing, where it refers to all forms of advertising, both online as well as offline. Here, the marketers usually pay some third-party entity in order to reach out to the consumers. And most of the advertising, whether offline or online, falls in this category. For example, advertisers usually pay Google in order to reach out to the target consumers through the Google search advertising. And then you have the inbound marketing, where marketers use techniques such as search engine optimization, where the companies try to make themselves visible on search engine result page, and the consumers can seek them out actively. Here, the consumers are seeking out information about products or services and use the search engine to find appropriate information. So that is the inbound marketing part. Then there's the third form of marketing, which will be the consumer to consumer communication, where the consumers talk among themselves about products and services of the firm. These consumer to consumer communication could be offline or online. We chat online, or we can be chatting offline also. This is commonly referred to as the word of mouth communication. It is called word of mouth communication as the information is passed on orally from one person to another. That's how it's structured. And the consumers play a key role, and the companies or the marketing managers in this type of media have limited control. Now, this media can also be talked of as what is called as the owned media, the paid media, and the earned media. Owned media means all the media that the company owns, the channels that we own, or the websites, all these are owned by the company and they have full control over the media. Then you have the advertising, where companies have limited control over the advertising, what is going, the messages are going. And then you have the earned media, where the companies earn reputation. So that's why it's called the earned media. And it's around these that we can structure the talk for today that's there, and see what is the impact of the newer technology that's coming along. So when you're talking about user-generated content, typically we talk about social media. Usually we just think of the never-ending scrolls in popular media, social media platforms, say Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Instagram, and other media. But there are other forms of consumer-generated content also that has significant role for consumers and marketers. For example, take the simple case of product ratings or reviews that we find on most sites. Take it like Amazon, Flipkart, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Zomato. Everyone posts some ratings and some reviews. These ratings and reviews drive consumer decisions. And from our experience itself, we can say definitely the decisions are quick, and we just look at the ratings and we make our decisions, though we might not be knowing much about the company, the product, or the restaurant also. And these influence sales to a large extent. And these reviews are usually written by consumers for other consumers. And consumers express their opinions on products and services based on their experience with the products. And we know that it impacts purchase decision. It impacts a lot of our other decisions also related to how we perceive products. Hence, they become very important for marketers. Of course, due to the popularity of this, it opens up a lot of issues also. There could be the issues of fake review, manipulation of ratings. All these are also coming along with it, because the system can be gamed sometime. That's also there. But on an average, if you're looking at it, this has a significant impact on the marketing actions of the firm. Then there are also other forms of consumer-generated media, simple things like online forum. This example of a gaming forum, most of you might have seen it, like of the Activision Blizzard, the company that manufactures, say, the popular games, World of Warcraft or Call of Duty. These forums are online message boards where consumers, which means the gamers, could talk among themselves. It'll be affiliated with specific gaming websites that provide space to promote open discussions among the gamers, exchange tips, discuss new releases, generally talk about video games in general. And unlike the official company sites, these forums offer rich user interaction and keeps the users engaged in these platforms. Before going further, let's now discuss a little bit about the broad trends in the recent times around these media. Number one trend we have to bear in mind is significant amount of time is devoted to online interactions. It is estimated that about 4.62 billion social media users are across the globe, and people on an average spend 2 to 2.5 hours cumulative on social media platforms in a day. And there's a rapid growth in content creation and consumption. All the photos that we generate, all the videos that was picked up, and everything that is uploaded, all these are huge. And the consumption is also huge, where it is consumed by a lot of people, and the amount of data that is generated is really becoming unmanageable also in certain segments. But also we have to bear in mind that there is an asymmetry in the generation and consumption of these content. Most of us are passive consumers of these content. Only less than 10% of us are actively generating content and are participating in social media platforms actively. Rest of us, we are just consuming the content. That means we are just viewing the videos, or we are reading the social media post and then carry on. That's a common thing that we can see right from the beginning of social media era. Now, there is also the increase in multitasking, which means consumption of multiple media simultaneously. It's also called multiple screens. You might be watching the TV, and at the same time, you might be working on your laptop, having the phone, and you might be chatting with someone, or you might be talking to someone or tweeting, which is very common nowadays. And also, lastly, globalization of the phenomena, where there are cross-border externalities. Now, what are externalities? It just means, simply put, things that happen in one country has spillovers and affect things that happen in other country. And of course, spillover could be welcome spillover, or some things could be nuisance where it's unwelcome by other countries. If you're looking at the advertising system as such, let's look at some of the common issues that arise. First one is the increasing complexity. Advertising ecosystem by itself is complex in nature. And most advertisements are matched in real time automatically by computers nowadays. And usually it's referred to as what is called as a programmatic advertising. There are very few dominant players in most markets. And advertising, even now, is a main source of revenue for most of the players in this area. Now, what do we mean by this? If you look at the economics of digital media, two models of revenue generation are very common. One is going to be the subscription model. The other one is the advertising model. But advertising dominates most platforms. Why is it? If you're looking at it, it's due to the simple fact that advertisers would like to reach out to the consumers or the customers who are the users of most of the content. Now, consumers, which means the customers or visitors, they come to different content providers for the content, which is the publishers. Publishers are anyone who publishes anything on internet. It can be, say, YouTube hosting a lot of videos. It could be Instagram. It could be even blogs and websites that put up content. And consumers are coming there primarily for the content. Now, advertisers would like to reach out to these customers with advertising. How do they do that? Say you're P&G, you want to reach out to these customers who are the visitors to a publisher like, say, BuzzFeed or Instagram. You reach through some platform, say, name it, it might be Google or Facebook. Google tries to match advertisers, say P&G, they want to match, say, Tide, and the Tide detergent can be matched to the person who might be reading something somewhere about some blog on some, say, for example, photography. It can be matched based on lots of characteristics, but they try to match based on the past interest, also based on lots of other things, which is usually referred to as behavioral targeting. Now, subscription usually is a secondary source of revenue. Advertising forms a predominant source of revenue for most of the platforms even now. Even for publishers, bulk of the revenue is generated usually through advertising. So advertising dominates most platforms. That's the first thing we have to remember. And also along with it, we have to note that there's rapidly changing landscape in advertising. What do we mean by that? Which means that newer technologies are coming all the time. Now we have technologies for address what's called as addressable marketing, which means targeting specific individuals or household precisely with digital fingerprints. Say, for example, you're watching streaming TV. There are some unique fingerprints that can be generated for the device or for the app in such a way that it can be directly targeted, which means it's not a generalized advertisement that we see like in cable channels or in other channels where everyone sees the same advertisement. Here, advertisements could be personalized on a household level, depending upon a lot of characteristics and data that has been collected in the past. Then there is also there's also the thing what we talk about as phasing out of third-party cookies, and which is usually using behavioral targeting. Basically, it means targeting based on the historical behavior of individuals who are visiting various websites. Based on that, the advertising was being targeted by third-party cookies. Now, newer algorithm, especially with artificial intelligence and machine learning in place, there are lots of new technologies that are coming in action, and it might be rolling out in the next few years. One of the common ones usually talked about nowadays is what's called the federated learning of cohort model. So that's one of the common things that at least is known to play a big role and might be becoming popular in the coming years. Now, talking about what is the impact of this consumer-generated media or user-generated content on the overall marketing of the firm, there has been it's thousands and thousands of studies that have shown repeatedly that user-generated content significantly influences sales of products and services. And also, we are looking at it from various angles. Say, for example, recently, some of the research has found out that media boycott has a definite impact on the sales. And also some of the research also has extended this to not only the textual media like reviews and ratings, but also on images that's posted on various platforms, the videos, the audio that's posted in other platforms. All these also influences sales of products and services in various ways. This has been shown in a lot of research. Then we also recently see that the phenomena where it could influence directly the stock market performance of the firm, where user-generated content, just some tweet, a random tweet, could be influencing the entire stock market. The impact of online interaction can be powerful, and it can have an immense impact on the financial performance. And this has been repeated right from 2009 or 10. Recently, also, we saw this when it was announced that users could get the Twitter verification, the blue check mark. At that time, some anonymous user had created a fake account for Eli Lilly, a pharmaceutical company, which is one of the largest manufacturers of insulin in the United States. And the user account tweeted that insulin medication is now free, due to which what happened was the stock market value of Eli Lilly dropped multiple $billion in a few hours. We all know that artificial insulin is critical for diabetes patients, and this drug contributes to substantial portion of Eli Lilly's bottom line. This is a simple example of the influence and reach of social media in today's world. Now, till now, we have been discussing the importance of consumer-generated media and its impact on sales, on financial performance. Now, let's look at some of the issues that have emerged in the recent years. There's issue with the media participation itself on various platforms. The media participation is fragmented, which means there's a fragmented participation of consumers across the platforms and across the media channels. There's a heterogeneous participation, which means some groups participate more than the others, and some groups are more active than others. And this could be on basis of demographics, say generational. Everyone knows that young people participate in social media much more than other groups. Also some ethnic groups, and based on the socio-economic scenario of the particular segment that we are talking about. This also leads to other convolutions. Say for example, media slant. Now, most of the TV or other channels also pick up on this, and they are also having a slant to either some affiliation to political parties as well as to affiliation to certain ideologies. And also it generates preference heterogeneity, where targeted coverage of content on issues that concern the targeted audience is only covered in those channels or in those media. And then there's a broader problem of what is called as the echo verse, which is referred to as also echo chambers or polarization. What happens in echo chamber? It's just like everyone talks the same thing and it echoes, and everyone talks around the same topics and around the same ideas. And here it also affects the bottom line. Brand communication complexities in echoverse has been studied, and then it has been shown that it has a significant influence where people develop into a what can be called roughly as a filter bubble. And then it leads to polarization of thoughts, polarization of preferences, and polarization of course, the political party and affiliation ideologies, things like that, which is consequential because it has been shown that these polarization also affects the brand preferences. And that is some of the important research that has come out in the recent years, that depends upon and shows something about the media participation. Then there are other issues also that will come up associated with these, which is most of the time marketers, we might be observing the vocal majority. Now, is representative of all the problems, and are we sampling it in the correct manner? That's questionable in many situations. And also there's lack of competitive metrics easily available, or reliable competitive metrics at least, which is other big problem that most of the marketers are facing. Now here I'm talking about most of the common issues that we are facing nowadays, and also media allocation and budgeting challenges. How to increase the reach and engagement among consumers? What are the optimal channels to reach and engage consumer segments? How to calculate the ROI? All these are open questions because things keep changing every few months. And these questions are the ones that marketers grapple with every now and then. Then you have the challenges which are posed by the technology itself. New technology accompanies with that significant problems. Simple examples could be, we have the old traditional marketing frameworks and models which we use for decision making, but we don't know whether it holds good. Say, for example, we have to understand how information diffuses among the platforms and how we can best use the digital platforms to reach to the consumer, and how can we actually calculate the spillover, the magnification of the these effects in various social media platforms, and how can we actually channelize that in a proper manner such that it is beneficial for all of us, consumers as well as marketers. Now, not much is known here, and still it poses significant challenges as newer technologies emerge. Say, for example, the most common technology that we are talking of in the last few weeks is the AI/ML, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is popular, especially in the last few years we have been talking. And in the last few weeks, everyone talks about ChatGPT, which is automated content generation. So you have language generation model or generative AI, which generates a lot of different text or media, which is there. GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformers. And it's a model. There are various kinds of models that are there: ChatGPT, OpenGPT, BARD by Google, and others. So these are based on prompt-based media generator, where we write something and the system actually outputs some of its output, which will be related in form of text or in form of images. It opens up avenues for marketers for new applications, say content marketing, where people, which means most of the content developers, they could create content within few minutes by giving the appropriate prompt. In fact, it has been said that ChatGPT can even answer questions in lots of exams, and it can generate essays for students. So content marketing is a no-brainer here, because content can be easily generated with this. And then it can be used for customer support, where we have chatbots, and it can give appropriate quick answers on this. And then you have the diagnostic tools for healthcare and others. The applications are numerous because all these technologies enable all these applications that's there. But also it comes along with some baggage of problems. Say, for example, if I ask ChatGPT to write a bad product review for one of the candies, Haribo Gold Bear, which is one of the common ones, it can generate it within seconds, and the entire review can be uploaded. Numerous reviews can be uploaded easily, and this leads to the problem of fake reviews on various platforms. This is a real review of Haribo Gold Bear, which is there. It has the human element where we see a lot of nuances in the language. where there is sarcasms, idioms being used in a certain way, and a colloquial language, everything. But when the chat GPT is generating, there might be something missing, but still, when humans are reading, they make decisions within few seconds and they read it and they make up the mind on them. So these are some problems that's coming up, and marketers are still grappling with these problems. There's no definite answers that we know. All these are uncharted territories that is there. And also, if you look at it broadly, consumer decision making and processes also are influenced much through this. Consumers are learning through recommendation engines and through personalizations. If you're looking at our own behavior, we are influenced by when we simply watch YouTube or others, we see lots of recommendations coming. And along with these recommendations come personalization, which means we select some of these and we click on them. And we are using these recommendation engines to drive our choices about what video we are watching or what products are we purchasing when we are on various e-commerce platform. All these are leading to that. Consumers are learning through it, but also there's a problem that consumers can get stuck in a explore, discover, reinforce cycle, which is kind of getting stuck in a bubble. So if you're stuck in a bubble, then what is going to happen is that you might be channelizing all your preferences towards only certain kind of items, and you're not going to explore novel ideas which is outside this bubble. And then consumer preferences, when they are AI driven and dynamic, which means they are shaped in real time. So you make quick judgments, and some of these nudges and judgments, whether they are good or bad, we don't know. And only over a period of time, we acquire habits, and we actually are going to make decisions in the long run. Now, in sum, if I'm looking at it, all these are uncharted territories. Nobody knows the right answers to this. There are lots of opportunities and challenges. If I summarize the entire research and talk what is there right now, the user-generated content is known to have a significant impact on marketing. And there's consumption and generation of media by consumers, and it is transformed drastically by all the newer emergent technologies. The interaction between consumers and various social media platforms is susceptible to misinformation. It could be biases, polarization, and marketers are facing new challenges because of this. And impact of these technologies open a lot of challenges, but also it brings about a lot of opportunities also at the same time. So we are still trying to navigate this uncharted territory, and all of us are trying to understand this, learn from it, and then adopt it for the best of the society in general. With that, I'd like to end the talk. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that. Let me know if you have any questions. And you can reach me out if you have any questions at this particular email, seshadri@uh.edu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seshadri. So before we move on to the Q&A, I would like to just point out some key takeaways that we had today. So one, user-generated content is known to have significant impact on marketing, and we are just seeing all those changes. And as Sir rightly said, we don't know what the future holds. Every day is like a new learning day. Consumption and generation of media content by consumers is transformed radically by emergent technologies. The interaction of consumers in the various social media platforms is susceptible to misinformation, disinformation, biases, and polarization. Impact of technologies such as artificial intelligence is opening up newer opportunities to marketing managers. At the same time, it also possesses significant challenges. So now we can move on to the Q&A. Okay, so you may put your Q&As in the option that you see on the left bottom. Is the section called Q&A. You can put in your questions there. So there's an interesting question that's come up, sir. It says in times where there's something like a chat GPT where artwork and everything is made by itself, what happens to artists who actually work hard and work from scratch? Is the new technology a threat to them?
So my answer here is again the answer that I talked before, because numerous industries are being affected. And here I'm assuming they're referring to technologies such as DALL-E, where you can generate art through prompts. And definitely it's affecting a lot of artists in various ways. And a lot of them, they are talking about it. It's an open question. There's no definite answer to it. One thing is definite, that it might not have all the creative elements because of the simple fact that any AI model is going to generate newer art based on what data it is being fed. So if it is being fed with a certain kind of data, it's going to give output based on the data that it has, which is the training data. And the human creativity comes in the unbound nature of the creativity, where it is not bound by any of the heuristics that's there. And that's the element that might be missing. But still, there's no definite answer that I can pinpoint and say this is the way it is, and this is the way it's going to be there. But still, the human element of artist creativity and what is meant by artist creativity also could be a lengthy talk by itself. But there it comes that there is boundless creativity that's there with humans that might not be exactly replicated by the machine learning and artificial intelligence, but yet some of the common things, say for example, if I want to generate a new impressionist figure, I can generate it using that using the DALI or other technologies that's there. So that's in short what I have. There's no right or wrong answer to this.
Great. Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next question. What can be the advertising opportunities in metaverse?
So here for the metaverse, a lot of different companies in various ways have been exploring various technologies. Nike and some of the luxury segments, all they have been exploring. But what are the advertising opportunities and how it is coming up depends upon the adoption of the technologies by consumers, because it's kind of like the chicken and the egg problem where advertisers have to target consumers, but the consumers have to be in metaverse in order to be actually handling that. Again, here it's uncharted territory, but it will develop over a period of time. There are advertising that's being taken up. Some of the companies that I know of or I'm reading in the general press is companies like Nike and all the luxury companies, which have been trying to target consumers through that. But advertisement, it's still an open question that's there.
Thank you, sir. There are few attendees who are raising their hands. It's better that you put your question in the Q&A box. So the next question is, what are your tips to navigate artificial intelligence, marketing, brand building, engaging customer and sales? What are your ideas on this?
So first one is to understand AI, because to understand the specific technologies that are there, that's very important, because there are various applications and various implications also of AI. And everything has to be understood clearly before we proceed in this. And simple things like experimentation, where you conduct experiments to find out how the consumers react, how consumers are interacting with those, all those will be very powerful tools. And then based on that, it can iteratively be launched slowly over a period of time. And then the AI could be adopted in a scale manner. But till then, it has to be piloted, it has to be well understood, and the steps have to be taken one at a time. And that's why if you're looking at it, most of the companies usually launch a pilot before even they start launching it in a big way.
Thank you. This is an interesting one. What do you think is one biggest advantage and one is a biggest disadvantage of AI and all these newer technologies to the field of marketing and advertising?
So the easiest one you can think of, the biggest advantage is going to be personalization in every way, and how some of the tasks could be automated easily, which means that, say, for example, the case of reinforcement learning, where the computers could help or the machines could help in various decisions in real time, where the humans need help in that. But also that's an advantage, where personalization over a period of time could also be spot on. But the disadvantage is definitely going to be the trade-off of privacy, because any AI tool needs data, individual data also. So you have to give your individual data in order to gain the benefits of AI. So it's a trade-off that's going to be there. And the trade-off is something that all consumers individually, as a society, as a country, and as a humankind itself, we have to decide what are the trade-offs we are going to make in lots of these AI implications, which is the biggest advantage as well as a disadvantage at the same time.
Thank you, sir. This next question also is quite interesting to think about. How impactful is vernacular communication with AI and ML?
That's a very specific question to our Indian situation that's there. Very true, because if you're looking at the vernacular languages, if I understood the question correctly, I read it as there are lots of vernacular languages within India. Say, for example, in a simple case like Hindi also has a lot of sub dialects, and within that you have lots of other nuances. Now, to understand all of these and to actually use it requires a lot of data in first place, a lot of willingness for companies to adopt it, and then it has to be implemented. Definitely, for a country like India, it has a big implication, and that can be seen, especially when you're looking at the heterogeneity, which means the variance of the consumers that is there, rural versus urban, or if you're looking at consumers who are more in vernacular languages only versus people who use broader languages such as say Hindi or English in general. But it has huge implications, and marketers definitely have to tackle that at some point or other, because otherwise you are going to leave out a chunk of consumers easily on that, but that will not be the right approach. So for Indian situation, definitely it plays a big role, but more research, more resources, and willingness for the companies and also the government itself to adopt it must be there. The initiative has to come.
The next question: are there any open source database or way the data marketing user preference can be accessed in case that we need to work out on a model on any of the tools like Nine?
So the problem in the question, I'll rephrase the question and then tell the answer. So because it's asking about consumer preferences. Now, number one is going to be most of the models right now assume consumer preferences are stable. That's number one. Number two is going to be that if you're looking at consumer preferences, you need individual consumer level data, and that brings into question a lot of privacy issue. So most of the companies will be stuck with not releasing the data easily because of privacy reasons. So it's not easy to get open data on this. But that being said, there is a lot of simulated data on these, which can be either simulated by researchers, that is ourselves, or it could be some of the data is floating around in Kaggle and other open source platforms. Some of them could be used, but each one has its own advantages as well as disadvantages and can be explored. It all depends upon the question that's there. But in general, if you're looking at some of the popular repositories, say Kaggle as well as say UCI repository, all these repositories are having some amount of data that can be played around with for these purposes.
Can AI help in medical care or healthcare where, let's say, you could help with early detection of certain diseases? Or does AI help there?
So this is completely beyond my expertise, but on prima facie, yes, from what I read everywhere and what I see around, definitely it has been adopted in a big way in lots of simple applications also. Say, for example, what you call as personal fitness applications, and there it can detect, because all said and done, these personal signals that we collect from various devices, simple things like pacemakers, or even the watch that we have of Android or Apple, they are giving some indicators, and they are some leading indicators that can detect some of the conditions as well as maybe even diseases of some sort, and it can be helpful in prediction. And AI applications, say for example, in cancer research, definitely has been there, especially in fields like radiology and others has been there. But this is beyond my expertise, so I don't want to make too much comments on that.
Okay. Someone has put in a comment, says that computer vision can help in detection from scans in case of medical. Thank you for that. So do you see AI access itself in every field that there is? Do you think AI will help everything around? Will there be some areas where it's not required?
Can you repeat it? I didn't get the question.
Will AI be involved everywhere in every kind of aspect like education, or is it just limited to certain fields?
So this one is again a very general question. The simple answer is again the willingness and the incentives that are in place for AI to be adopted. If there is willingness to be adopted, and if there is overall welfare for the community as such, and some of the entities are incentivized to do that, definitely there's a scope. But which are the companies that will adopt, which are the entities that are going to adopt all this, and how is it going to be implemented? all depends upon the incentives that are in place for adoption, as well as the consumers' usage of those. I just call it as AI devices.
All right, so that's all the questions for today. And before we leave, I would like to invite the students to come to Geo Institute on the weekends. We are here on Saturday. You may come visit us, see the premises, and look at the courses we offer. On Wednesdays, we have info sessions about the institute. You may log into that. And on Thursdays, we have master classes. For more information, you can follow us on social media. You can go to our Instagram page. You can follow on the LinkedIn on more updates. So that will be all from us for today. Thank you, Dr. Seshadri, for talking to us and give us such important and useful insights, something that we have a lot to take back today. Thank you. And
all the best.
good night. Good night from Geo Institute.